Hicks is an upcoming platformer being developed by Snips. I tried out the early access demo and wanted to share my experience in this video. Now that's gaming. Hey there, welcome back. If this is your first time here, my channel is all about discovering something new and sharing some of the very best indie games. If any of that interests you, then consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell notification so you don't miss anything. When looking at a platforming game, I tend to look at some concepts and to see how it feels. Since Hicks is an early access alpha demo that I wanted to give my feedback to hopefully help the developer, there are things that I noticed right away. So I'm going to start with things that I feel can be improved in the game, that can be adjusted, or some things that can be added. And this is going to go into the things that I liked. So let's start off with really what makes a really good platforming game before anything with story, graphics, or anything relating to collectibles and all of that stuff. And that is definitely, for me, the controls. When I went to Hicks, I experimented with the controls to see how the momentum felt when jumping with the character, how it felt in the air as you're able to slightly hover as the main character that you're playing as. And I would say that the controls weren't really that well, implemented yet. I feel that when I was in the air, it was kind of hard to get over some of the lasers. I felt that it was a little too slow. And at other times when I was trying to make precision jumping, I feel that I had to rely on the teleport ability, which is the other ability that affects your movement. And before anything else, it felt really awkward doing a lot of jumps around different terrain, and there's like some smaller jumps that you have to make, and the way that the controls are, it doesn't feel like quite tight yet. I feel like the momentum, it propels you too far when you're jumping. I feel like there's not enough control while you're in the air, and that is definitely something that needs to be nailed down, because it's hard to do that in a 3D platforming game or even a platformer in general. So I would say that if you wanted to work on something first, I would definitely get the controls down packed before like moving onto anything else. And that goes into some of the obstacles in a way that, you have to actually go through with the controls. So you have lasers by the enemy that you're like facing, and getting past these lasers isn't particularly difficult. You have the horizontal lasers that you can jump over, some that you can teleport through, and it tells you that you can either teleport or jump over these lasers, and the jumping for the most part works fine. But when I try to teleport, a lot of the times I would actually die and clip through the lasers. It's really weird. I would go through the lasers, but I would still have to restart, and it's really frustrating when you have to restart all the way back at the beginning after trying to use this teleport ability, which is pretty glitchy. That's to be expected for an early alpha, but still something I wanted to point out. I really wish there were more dangerous things, in a way, more hazards. I didn't feel particularly threatened by these lasers, and most of the time you can actually skip a lot of these lasers, so it kind of didn't really have a purpose besides being there. I feel like if there were more traps, more elaborate things, maybe like the horizontal ones maybe moving, or maybe ones on the ground that move that you have to kind of get past in a grid style. Just like more things besides the lasers really need to be implemented, as I feel like it was really quiet. The whole world was quiet. It's like there wasn't anything moving besides like the water. I wish the grass and the trees moved a lot more. I think that would add a lot more character to the game. Just small details like that can really stand out and make the game look, even more beautiful than it already is. Something with wildlife, but this is happening after humans are being eradicated. So this is like, you're like one of the last AI to be sent to hopefully help save humanity in some way. So I can understand if you don't want to like add humans, but adding other types of wildlife or even AI, maybe more rev, that can act as enemies, and these can act as obstacles in some types of ways. Since you're dealing with a lot of AI, you can imagine like maybe they can act as turrets or something like that, where you had to sneak around. If you're going for something like that, or if you want to be more adventurous, have some puzzles put in the game to make things not feel as barren as you explore. So even if things maybe, you know, there's not like a lot of things happening, if you have a lot of puzzles that kind of connects to getting different parts for your ship or trying to go and complete an objective, there will be like more stuff to do, so you don't feel like you're kind of wasting your time, or the player might not get as, you know, bored as it. I kind of feel when I was playing through it. When it comes to the levels, there's 2 levels in this demo. The first one is, you know, pretty straightforward. It's a big area where you collect 3 of these pieces that you have to bring back before taking the portal. And one of the annoying things is if you die any point, you have to restart at the back, you know, at the beginning, and it doesn't save your progress. So I would like to see, you know, a progress save, maybe a checkpoint somewhere around there. If you don't want to do that, like at the very least, the progress really needs to be saved, because people can collect these things and having to start all the way back at the beginning is really frustrating and can really throw people off from really wanting to play the game. When it comes to the camera, I guess this went back to the controls again. Again, there were like so many different types of jumps that you have to make. And in the second level, there's like an inside cave area, and a few of the jumps you have to make, it's really hard to see things. One, not only because of the camera angle, it's because the character is just so far, so big, it's so prominent on the screen. I really would like to see the camera move back a little bit more, give the option for the player to maybe go into first person to have something different, and then you can also go back more into third person so you have a better view. That way you can give different people options in case, you know, people want to play it in a different way. And this would definitely make it unique as a platforming game to have options like this, where you can go into first person or third person. You know, especially with 3D platformers, you really want yours to stand out. I think definitely having something like this would help a lot. When it comes to other things to add to the game, I really feel like having the teleport ability toned down a little bit, because yeah, you can really break the levels by just warping and warping. So a cooldown on that, or maybe implement different upgrades that you can get alongside, so it gives people an incentive to collect something to actually upgrade your character to make things easier. And they'll also give you more movement options, which makes it a lot more fun to get around. So for instance, maybe the ability to hover around for longer periods of times, having, you know, double jumps. You can sprint in the game, but it still feels really slow to get around. So maybe at the start you're really slow, and you know, as you're learning with your AI, this character, he builds up different powers and other collectibles that you can like attach to your character to make him more, you know, unique in terms of moving around. So a faster sprint. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do, especially with the way you're setting up this story. There's like a lot of wild stuff. So please don't, you know, be afraid to really go crazy with some ideas. I know that the game is set to come out in 2019, but if we really do have to push the game back to add stuff or to really polish the game up, you know, don't be afraid that you'll have to get the game out. Or, you know, if this is going to early access, I can see that being useful as well, but I know that early access can be a hit or miss for a lot of people. So there's like so many different routes you can take. So far though, I definitely like the concept of this, and you know, this is being your first really big project like this. I think you're doing an awesome job, so keep up the great work and just bring things to life in the game. Like, just make everything just pop out and really want to make the player explore if you're going for an exploration type game. What do you think about this game, everyone? Is this something you would play? Is this something that you think you would play if it was worked on a little bit more? Does it bring anything unique to you from watching? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to discover something new, feel free to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with many of the indie games I showcase each and every week. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video.